Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends. Episode 140 of the BJJ Brick Podcast. My name is Byron. I'm here with my good buddy, Gary. Gary, what's happening, my friend?
Nothing. Just thinking about how to get my cardio better than 5 minutes this week. So I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure you're all over that, and we'll even work on that a little bit today with you. As this episode passes the 5-minute mark, you'll be just fine, I'm sure. So we have a great show for you guys today. Ricardo Tubbs, if you've heard of the Firma Kimono Company, that's what Ricardo's been doing, making high-quality gis for people, for schools. Done some charitable work as well. We'll talk about gis, we'll talk about jiu-jitsu, we'll talk about a lot of different topics. Here we go, Gary. Good show coming up, my friend. Yeah,
definitely make sure you listen to the interview part because you're going to learn a lot. Listen to Ricardo there. But also don't forget, if you want to support our show, we have an audiobook. Byron recorded an audiobook. It's 2.5 hours. It's called Your First Year in BJJ. And that's really what we're trying to help you through your first year. If you stick past the first year, there's a lot better chance you're going to keep with it. A lot of different chapters, as we talked about last week. One of them's picking a school. Another chapter is preparing for your first tournament, which is a nerve-wracking experience. It's always good to have a little bit of advice there to help you out. But definitely check it out. It's 2.5 hours of content. It's only $11.99. We have a link to it on the show notes. So definitely check it out. Your first year in BJJ.
Yep, honored every time we sell a book, and it definitely helps keep the show going. If you are interested in that book, you could maybe even find a link to that in your email inbox, because we do have an email list. Go to bjjbrick.com or our Facebook page, type in your name and email address, and we'll send you out the show notes every week in your email inbox, hot and fresh, never stale, always 0 calories, Gary. But
man, hot and fresh, never stale. That's a good quote right there, Byron.
I just got done selling baked items.
You should be working for Krispy Kreme or something.
Yeah, but I said 0 calorie as well. But,
okay.
But basically, every week I'm compiling links to places where we talk about, and the articles, and links to the interview person and guests we have, and anything they're doing. And all that will be in your inbox, along with a link to the actual show. You can listen
that
to
way
it
you never miss a show.
There we go. And if for some reason iTunes messes up, or maybe Google Play Store is giving you a hard time, you'll still get the email, and you'll still know what's happening this week on the show. So that's kind of the idea of that. And we send out an email once a week, because we make a show once a week.
Once a week. So you're trying to tell me we've done this now for 140 weeks?
Yes, Gary. We have not missed a week, my friend.
I'm actually pretty smart then, I guess, if I figured that one out.
Yep, episode 140 of the BJJ Brick Podcast, Gary. Things are going good.
Yep. I got a little quiz for you, Byron.
Okay, what's up, man?
Who is one of the greatest boxers of our time? Maybe the best ever.
Okay, I was gonna say you, but I haven't actually seen you. I haven't actually seen you box more than your 5-minute cardio limit. Maybe Muhammad.
I can do 5-minute rounds.
Maybe Muhammad Ali.
Correcto mundo. Hey, the reason I say that is we are going to have a quote this week from Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest ever. But Muhammad's quote is, "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life." Once again, he who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. And, it's kind of almost like, kind of reminds me of the quote from Ken Blackburn from a couple weeks ago. But in life, we're going to be down, we're going to be up, but you got to take risks. Nothing's going to be given to us. Nothing's just going to fall into our lap. Or Byron, though, every now and then a Tootsie Roll fall in his lap.
Take it.
But it's we have to take risk. Think of when we first started Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, we talked about it numerous times, but it's very nerve-wracking going to that first class, especially if you don't know anybody. And you're actually really taking a risk to do it. And look where we are today. Everybody listening has all, stepped in that gym and tried it the first time. Muhammad Ali, look at all the risks, he took in life. He's, became one of the greatest boxers of all time. And he didn't do that by playing everything safe.
Yeah.
And he was definitely, controversial. He was, a talker and, sold his fights. And, he was definitely a risk taker.
The idea of just taking risks to take them could be very foolhardy, but there'll be a time in your life when you're trying to think if this is a good idea, if it's right for you. It seems like maybe it's a bit risky. Kind of maybe wait until what would happen if you succeeded at this goal or this thing you wanted to do. I can't think of anything like amazing, for example, but I remember being in a bookstore and seeing a nice young lady across from me, and I was like, I want to talk to her and get to know her a little bit. Yeah, I might look like an idiot. She'll probably shoot me down. But this person ended up being my wife. I mean, it wasn't a huge risk, but I risked being, kind of embarrassed or whatever, but that's how I met her. I mean, I took a little risk, and, I don't know if accomplishing a wife is something like that, but, you got to take some risks in some things. It could be changing your job. If you're in a place you hate working, don't just quit today and find a new job, right? You think you'll find one right away. But maybe, think about the steps you're going to make and start working on those to take that step. Don't just blindly. I wouldn't advise you to blindly, screw it, I'm done,
Yeah, we're not telling you to go to the Grand Canyon, create a little ramp out of dirt, and then back your car up about 200 feet and gun it and try to jump the Grand Canyon. Because that's a foolish risk. Yeah,
it's got to be plywood, not dirt, Gary.
Yeah, something like they did Napoleon Dynamite, a ramp like that. He got a good 5 feet off the ground.
He got a lot of air that time.
Yeah, a lot of air.
All right, let's break down this clip that Gary just referenced from the movie Napoleon Dynamite. We've got our friend Napoleon and his buddy Pedro standing outside of school looking at Pedro's bike.
It's a sledgehammer.
Dang. You got shocks, pegs, lucky.
A pretty sweet bike it is.
You ever take it off any sweet jumps?
Scene changes in front of a house with a ramp made of plywood, mind you, and a couple of, looks like cinder blocks underneath it there.
You got like 3 feet of air that time.
Pedro lands the jump, getting probably 6 inches of air, in all honesty, and then rides smoothly down the sidewalk.
Can I try it really quick?
Cut to the scene where Pedro is now watching the ramp, and Napoleon's going to be on it. The cinder blocks are moved slightly with the ramp, and our friend Napoleon will come screaming down the sidewalk to jump the ramp. The ramp buckles, causing Napoleon to slide forward violently, hitting his little Napoleon on the handlebar. He is buckled in pain. I don't know why we quote that movie so dang much, Gary.
We do, though.
But speaking of quotes, this is our quote of the week. It's not who is courageous enough to take a risk. He who is not courageous enough to take a risk will accomplish nothing in life. So we all take risks, whether you want to or not. In fact, doing nothing, it's kind of what are you doing? I don't know. Maybe it's not really a risk, but take a few risks.
Starting this podcast was a risk.
Yeah.
It really was. No podcasting experience. Let's try it out, see what happens 140 episodes later.
Yep. Go listen to episode 1 and 2 and the first so many.
And hopefully we got better.
Hopefully we did. But sometimes I feel like I'm struggling over here, Gary. But that's okay.
It's always good to struggle, Byron.
Sometimes it's good to excel as well.
I
Gary,
agree with you there. Excelling is maybe more rewarding. Well, I don't know about that. I actually like to
the challenge.
Yeah, the challenge. It's very rewarding when you finish or you dig yourself out of that hole.
Yep. Well, I've dug myself in a pretty good hole right now.
Speaking of digging out of the hole, I think we should get on to our article of the week, Byron.
Yep. We'll start digging in an upward direction, and we'll head over to jiu-jitsutimes.com. This is 2 weeks in a row we've used jiu-jitsutimes.com as an article. This article was sent to us by our friend Matt. So thank you, buddy, for the article suggestion. If you have an article you think we should cover, send it our way, bjbrick@gmail.com. If you've written an article, absolutely send it our way. We'd love to share it with the rest of the audience. But this article is called Purple Belt, a.k.a. the Rolling Belt. And this is a fairly lengthy article. It talks about, developing to become a purple belt, what to do when you get there. It's a belt where you really can't always get instruction from everybody or from even your instructor anymore, because you're at a stage of like personalizing your game and how to deal with that. But a little bit deeper into the article is kind of what I would like to touch on is the 7 ways you should be rolling. And these are ways: white belt, blue belt, purple, brown, black, whatever. These are just different modes that you might want to consider getting into while you're on the mat to help you kind of diversify your learning and diversify your experience on the mat. Because if every time I roll with somebody, I do this, I'm going to be crushing every time I roll with somebody. Well, I'm not going to have a real flowing style if I want to have that. I won't be able to have a playful style developed. So the idea of having different modes you could play, and the first one I kind of hinted at is a crushing style of a mode, and it's important to be able to put pressure on people. And if you never play that, you always play like a loose game, and you always just fire away random submissions all the time, and you're not really worried about putting any pressure. Maybe you should try a crushing style of game, using your weight, using the top position, using the back, and really trying to put some pressure on people. Not worry so much about submissions, not worry so much about sweeps, but worry about pressure. And play that for a game. Play that for a day, a single roll, or a month, or whatever. Learn how to be a little bit more crushing.
And I can tell you, listening to that from Byron is a master at crushing you on top. So it's never fun being underneath Byron. He's going to crush you. Number 2, do not finish anyone. And basically what he's trying to say is roll where you catch and release submissions. But we're not focused on the submissions. That's why we're letting them go. We're going to focus mainly on positions. We're going to go back and forth, different positions. We get submission, we're going to take it, we're going to release it, we're just going to keep going, but our big thing is focus on the position.
Yeah, I think that's the role I roll with. What I'm rolling with Gary is I don't want to finish anything, because I never seem to actually finish anything. I just tell myself that. But really, there is an advantage. If you catch an armbar and you finish it, fine. If you catch an armbar and you kind of let them work out of it, then you could do your transition after that, and then you'll become good at the follow-up technique. So that's a big benefit to doing the catch and release style of game.
And you're also helping your partner. I mean, he knows he's caught. How many times have you been in an armbar? You know you're caught. But you're letting him escape too. So you're working your position, getting the submission. You're letting him escape, and you're working your transition. So it's not just helping you. It's helping your partner there too.
Yeah. And another mode that they talk about here is don't give up anything. It says don't give up an inch to anyone. Basically, I'm seeing this. I'm thinking somebody who gets swept easily should consider doing this, or at least trying this mode, because a lot of times, especially when we're just playing around, we're just rolling. It's not a big deal to get swept, I'll work on the bottom game. But the idea in my head, I'm not going to give up a point. I'm not going to get swept. I'm not going to get my guard pass. I don't want to give up anything. I want to go this 5-minute round or whatever without getting scored on, unless there's nothing I can do about it. Try rolling like that. It's a little harder to roll that way, but you'll start doing things differently. A lot of times in class, not caring if you get swept is like the start of becoming easy to be swept. Does that make sense, Gary?
It makes sense, definitely.
So just by the idea of I don't want to be swept, your body will react in ways and keep you on top a little bit better than if I got swept. They always sweep me with that. No, a lot of avoiding the sweep is just fighting a little bit harder and creating a little distance and getting your feet back underneath you. So that's one game that I think that maybe your guard gets passed a lot. Don't give that up. So what? You're working on your side control. that's fine. But play this mode a little bit to learn what it's like to fight so hard to keep your guard when you pass. And you should learn from that. So I think the idea here is to just try these out periodically and to enter into this mode purposely and then to exit, Go on.
You can't use them all at the same time, but like you said, use them all at different times. One day don't give anything, one day don't finish anybody, and the next one, kind of the opposite of don't give an inch to anyone. Keep it playful, but the key word is with a purpose. Adhere to principles and pick a goal. Like maybe your goal is, I want to, do a cartwheel pass or something like that. So, but every time you don't just have to go, crazy, go 100%, try to not give an inch to anybody. But some days just tone it down a little bit, keep it playful, but have a purpose of what you're doing. Go in there knowing exactly what you're going to work on, but, have fun, have a smile on your face.
Yep. We've got a handful of guys I roll with pretty regularly that will laugh at the situation as it's getting worse for them. Let's say I get both hooks in, and for some reason that's funny. I can't, I think it's maybe I do something a little unusual to get it or something like that, but we have a couple of guys who will just start laughing at the situation as the things that are happening to them are getting worse and worse, and that's so playful. It's just like it's a different environment. We're here to have a good time. It's not a big deal if I get tapped. I'm laughing right now, so I really don't care. I like rolling with those people. They're fun to roll with. Another mode here is marathon round. Just go out there and roll as long as you can. Don't worry about time. Don't worry about any limits. You get submitted, keep rolling. Just go out there and just roll and roll and roll and see what it's like to just kind of just try to move and just survive situations. And I think that marathon round could be a big confidence builder. To do that. What's
the longest you've rolled? Have you tried like a marathon round and timed it and see how long you went?
Gary, I don't have any idea. Probably, honestly, some of the longer rounds I've had would probably been with you, and I don't know if they've crossed 30 minutes or so. But after a while, it's like you wanted to roll with a new person. Sorry, Gary. You just not good
thanks.
Usually.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
30 minutes into it, I'm ready to get somebody who's a little less sweaty, my friend.
Saying I got a sweating problem, but yeah, I do. Another good one: allow bad positions, but with a purpose, and basically put yourself in some bad positions so you can focus on escaping, defending, which are two very important concepts. We need to know how to escape bad positions. We need to know how to defend submissions. And I like this little sentence: find comfort in discomfort. And that's really kind of what happens in jiu-jitsu every day. You need to find comfort in a bad position when you're rolled up. It's you got to be you got to be comfortable. You got to be calm and find your way out of it. So find comfort in discomfort.
You know what I think about when I heard that just now? Find comfort in discomfort. Remember the old futon-style couch that would be an uncomfortable couch that would also roll out to be a really uncomfortable bed? Find comfort in the futon. That could be a good motto for the futon couch.
The craziest thing is we had that futon couch. And the crazy thing was, whenever I couldn't sleep, I would go out to that futon couch, and I always fell asleep within a second on that futon couch. So I actually miss that to this day.
But wasn't it uncomfortable though?
It was uncomfortable to sit on it. And it was probably kind of uncomfortable, I guess, but for some reason, I could always fall asleep in that thing. I don't know what it was.
So you would literally find comfort in the discomfort. That should have been the motto for futon.
Yes.
If they would have had that,
I didn't get that point. Yeah, it's true.
If they'd have had that as a slogan, we'd all be having futons in all of our living rooms right now, Gary.
Yep, I actually think I'm going to go search Amazon and find one after the show.
Okay, this is going to be good, and I'm looking forward to maybe spending. If I need to crash at your place, there's a futon I could always crash on there.
Yep.
Unless you can't sleep, and then I'm leaving you alone.
Yep.
That wraps up the article.
Last one. We'll do the last one too. Float, and we're not talking about you're floating on air or you're like one of the magicians. He's basically saying don't hold positions too long. hop around, go to different positions, move quickly, just go back and forth. And it's going to help your transitions. You're going to get better at your transitions, and you're going to get better at each one of those positions. So float between positions.
And I think floating encourages more scrambles, depending on who you're rolling with. If you're kind of playing a more loose game and you're not holding positions, you're going to enter into many more scrambles per roll than you would experience playing a tight, crushing game. And
because I do have that floating game, and I get in a lot of scrambles where you got that crushing pressure game. It's crazy. We got totally opposite games.
I think, okay, I might be wrong here. It seems like the scramble-induced person, if they have a good guillotine, that's always trouble. There's always guillotines in scrambles, it seems like. Gary, get a dang good guillotine, my friend. So,
thank you, Jason Bircher.
Yeah, he does have a good one as well. Giving us some tips on our guillotines. But the article is probably a link to it in your email inbox with the show notes, but it's jujitsutimes.com, purple belt, a.k.a. the rolling belt. And we just highlighted one section. There's at least 2 or 3 more sections about being a purple belt, basically. And we thought this was universal for everybody who's rolling different ideas and concepts of different modes you could get into. I like that a lot out of this article. So thank you, Matt Lowe, for sending us this article. Appreciate it. Good recommendation, my friend.
Yep, great article. I learned a lot from it. And speaking of learning a lot, I think it's time to get on to Ricardo Tubbs.
He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
He credits most of his wins to maintaining eye contact with his opponent. His gi never smells, even after rolling with the stinky guy. He is often seen riding a unicorn to open mat. When he got his white belt, black belt traveled for hundreds of miles just to roll with him.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast. Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Ricardo Tubbs to the BJJ Brick podcast. Welcome to the show, Ricardo.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Happy to have you here. You've got a lot going on. You have a gi company. You're supporting some charitable social projects and training jiu-jitsu. So we have a lot to talk about today. Could you just kind of give yourself a little bit of introduction for the audience who may not know you yet?
My name is Ricardo Tubbs. I'm a black belt under Master Ricardo Cavalcanti. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for close to 11 years now. I own the Firma Kimono Company. I own the Firma Training Center. I'm a Navy guy, still in the Navy, and I'm a dad. I would say I'm pretty much just like everybody else. I don't know. It sounds good, right?
just like everyone else. Well, I think some things make you unique, but tell us a little bit about the Firma Kimono Company.
We've been around for 6 years now, and it's funny, like, I tell people that, and they're like, really? I just thought you were a new company. So, it's kind of the way I kind of envisioned things happening. I was kind of realistic when I started the company. When I started the Firma, like 6 years ago, I think that was kind of like everybody was starting a gi company, and I could count the names of companies that have gone and come and gone and come and so we just kind of stayed a little bit quiet. We're starting to get a little bit of traction now where people know about us, and so we're pretty proud about what we do. We make some really nice custom gis for schools, so that's why a lot of people are starting to see us, because we make a lot of custom gis for different academies around the country. But of course, we also have retail stuff, which I think is pretty nice. Every year or so, we come out with a limited edition gi. The last one was the last Suave version 2, and then I think what really sets us apart with the company is our sizing. I mean, we have 49 different sizes available, where a lot of companies have a lot less than that, I guess. And I guess really the reason why we have so many sizes is because people come in every size. So jiu-jitsu should be for everybody, and everybody should be able to be comfortable in their gis. So of course we make more than just gis. We do gis and rash guards and shorts and tank tops. And I think what sets us apart too is that we have a really, really nice set of gis made for women. So they're not just men's gis cut down a little bit shorter. They're actually made for women, because women have these things called hips. Men don't. Not like women, at least. And thank God, right? So and so we make sure that that everybody has a gi that fits, and I think that that's pretty cool. And yeah.
You mentioned you have, I think you said 49 different gi sizes. Can you kind of break that down to me and how your sizing works?
I have no idea. No. So, I mean, really all of our sizes have really come out of necessity. So what I've done over the years is I've really just kind of listened to what people tell me. You know, I get guys who tell me, well, you know, I need an A4 jacket, but I need A3 pants, and I need this. And, you know, I have women who call me and say, well, I'm 5'7", but I only weigh 115 pounds. Or, you know, I'm 5'3" and I weigh 165 pounds. You know, what gi do you have that fits me? So, so we've just made a lot of sizes throughout the years just by listening to people. A lot of times we just go right online. Like I'll have somebody call me and they'll say, well, you know what, I have this. And I say, well, you know what, there's probably somebody else out there with your exact body type. So let's go ahead and, you know, I'll actually get on Skype with somebody or FaceTime, and we will go through a period of actually designing a gi that'll fit that person. So, it's not that I do custom sizing for people, because there's really no need anymore. If they just kind of follow the size charts, they should get the best fit, as long as they're honest with themselves. So to everybody out there, if you're really 5'9" and you want to be 6 feet tall, that's fine. But be honest with yourself when you're buying a gi, because you're not going to get a gi that fits you the right way. So they really have just come out of necessity. And I really enjoy spending time with people, making sure that we get them the right fit. I always tell people, contact me first if you have any questions whatsoever, because I really just want people to get, you know, a good fit right out of the bag. And you know, having so many sizes can be a pain in the butt. But what's cool is that, you know, people aren't wasting money trying to take it to a tailor and have a uniform hemmed or fixed. Because usually when that happens, the integrity of the gi falls apart. So I mean, it really just started years ago, especially like with the women's gi. So we have a sponsored athlete, Lana Hunter, and so when we first started, we were kind of friendly. I'd met her at some tournaments, and I said, you know, I want you to help me design these gis for women. So we beta tested, I don't know, I think it was like 20 to 30 women, all different sizes, heights, everything. And we spent a lot of money making gis to make people that fit. So she helped us find people. She's very influential in the jiu-jitsu community. So she's been a big part of our company and has really helped us make a lot of our gis pretty special.
Well, that's cool. And you mentioned that you, I guess as we talk about this, where could somebody go to check these out? What's the website?
www.thefirmabjj.com, DAFIRMABJJ.com, or they can just go right to the shop, which is shop.thefirmabjj.com.
You mentioned that you do, you make gis or kimonos for different schools and teams. How's that work?
So basically what happens is, you know, what's funny is like our business has grown almost exclusively on word of mouth. So I'm really, really lucky that we have a lot of school owners who really, really like what we do. And they tell their friends about what we do. So basically what happens is, we don't do custom gis like, you know, sometimes somebody will tell you they're giving you a custom gi, and what they've done is they've just taken a gi off of the shelf and they've thrown some patches on it and they call it a custom gi. we go a lot of steps further than just doing that. So basically, a school will contact me. I will get their school logos from them, and then I color coordinate everything. So my DFKC logos that are usually on the shoulder, we usually do a shoulder one or a round one, and we color coordinate. We color coordinate everything with their logos with my logo. So my logo is kind of a hybrid logo where I can add different colors and things. So and then we do custom tape. So really, I mean, everything that the school is getting is a truly custom gi. So we don't make them until they order them. It takes a few weeks. It's not like you're going to get them back in 5 days. But once they get them, they usually sell like hotcakes. I mean, everybody wants to represent their team. So, once they contact me, we get everything set up. Everybody then realizes how affordable a custom gi is for their school, which I don't think that school owners understand. One, how affordable it can be, and two, how valuable it is for your academy. So, like for instance, I own my own gym, and everybody in my gym, in our academy, wears a school gi. I'm not saying that people couldn't come in and wear something else as long as they have, their gi all patched up and they look like a team. But when you walk into my academy and you see a class with everybody wearing, the same gi, whether it's the white one, the blue one, the gray one, whichever, but it looks more professional. So, we did this because as I traveled around, I think I told you, I'm still in the Navy, so I travel a lot. I found that the schools that had uniforms were usually more successful. If you're a parent and you walk into a school and this guy's wearing a tie-dye gi and that guy's wearing a purple gi and that guy's wearing a that gi, it doesn't look quite as professional as everybody in the same, at least similar uniform. It just looks more professional. So for me, we're professional martial artists. And we're a professional academy, and we want to look professional. So I think that it definitely helps, and it's a great look. So so all the academies out there, feel free to contact us at info@the-Firma BJJ, and we can knock out some really nice mock-ups for you, and then you can make a decision. So I do a computer generated mock-up. And we make changes as needed, and they really come out nice. I do not do any screen printed patches. Everything is usually fully embroidered patches. I don't do direct embroidery because that breaks down the integrity of the gi, especially with these new logos that people are coming out with, talking about putting a couple million needles to the gi. It's gonna break down the gi. But we do some really, really nice stuff. That was a really long, involved answer, and you gotta ask me shorter questions next time. Okay,
my answer will be short, but my question will be short, but we'll see about the next answer. How'd you come up with the name of the company?
It's a secret. Next question. No,
that was quick.
You know what? It came from somebody who I used to train with. It talked about a particular sequence of moves, and then there's a little bit more to it too. So, it was just something that stuck in my head all the time, and something I got pretty good at doing. And so the name stuck. People used to call me that, and so now even people still call me Ricardo de Firma. So. Mostly because there's so many Ricardos in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that they needed to give me a nickname. So there you go.
It was stuck. And then how about the logo? Does that mean anything, or tell me about that?
What do you mean?
Is it koi?
Oh, that's the old logo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the old logo. So you know what? It's actually interesting that you asked me about that. So the old koi logo, as a business owner myself and a school owner, I always tell people it's important to make sure that your logo was professionally made, and that your logo is original artwork. So, long story short, that logo that we made years ago, when I first started the company, I was actually in Afghanistan when we started making that logo, and I contacted a friend, and I said, hey, I need a logo. I need to make this logo. It's got to be, it's got to be professional. It's got to be this. And well, long story short, it turned out that it was clip art, and that's neither here nor there. I'm not upset about it anymore. I realized later that it wasn't a professional logo, so I had a new one made, which is the DFKC that you see all over the place on the gis. And that's my calling card. So everybody sees that and they know what gi it is. So those gis were professionally made by a very good friend of mine, Guto Braga from BJJ Graphics. I'm going to give him a little plug. So if you follow us on our page, I'm always telling people, make sure that you get professional vector art logos done, because we can't work with Photoshop. Like, everybody's great at Photoshop. It's wonderful, but if you want professional stuff, it has to be in vector format. So Guto made the new logo for us, and I've been singing his praises forever. So it's basically been about 6 years that we've become friends, and we've been friends, and ever since then, he's a great guy, and he is possibly the best artist in all of the BJJ, and of course he does more than just BJJ stuff, but he's also a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He's been doing this for 20 years. I highly recommend the guy. So yeah, we love that. We love our new logo. We love the koi fish, but unfortunately it just wasn't original artwork. So rather than getting sued by whoever owned that artwork in the first place, we got a professional logo done.
Just move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a couple questions from some listeners here, and one of them kind of relates to that. Chris wants to know what it was like running the company at the beginning of things, and maybe some challenges you had with that. And I think you just kind of alluded to one with the logo, but could you maybe tell us something else about starting a gi company?
You know what? I told people all the time that I said for years that I was going to start this company. I've told this story a million times. My parents used to own a clothing factory when I was a kid in Massachusetts, and I knew how to make patterns. I maybe it was in my DNA. I don't know, but of course the factory closed. Around that time when we, one thing leads to another, and businesses go out of business, and so anyway. I would say the challenge is, the number one thing with starting any company is that you got to understand that you're not going to wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire. Because I'm certainly not a millionaire. I'm probably not going to be a millionaire off of a gi company. However, you really have to weather the storms. Things are going to be slow. There's going to be good times and bad times. I think the most important thing for us is customer service. I try to treat every customer with respect and dignity and make sure that if they have questions, we answer them. I actually answer a lot of the questions. There are other people in the company that do, but I prefer to answer questions of people just because I like to have that connection with people. Challenges, so when we have 49 sizes, which means that we're a lot different than every other company. So to me, I started it out with no preconceived notions that this is the way the gi should fit, this is the way that this should be. I just wanted to make them the way that I thought that they should fit. I think really the challenge is finding your niche and finding what you want to do. I mean, right now anybody can call, a factory in China, have some cool logos, throw some gis on it, but the jiu-jitsu community is smart, They're not just going to buy a gi because it's got a cool logo on it. They're going to buy a gi because it fits them well. It fits the way that they, not only does it fit them well, it fits the way that they play their jiu-jitsu game. So now you run into things like, well, this guy is 5'5" and weighs 150 pounds, but he really loves open guard. This guy is 5'5" and weighs 150 pounds, and he's a closed guard guy. Now he wants a gi that fits him the way that his game works better. So I really just think that just finding your niche is kind of a where you should try to go with some things.
You have 49 different sizes of gi. That sounds like it adds challenges to producing them. And then you mentioned that you're customer service oriented, and I think that those two, if you look at both those, you could have 3 sizes of gis and not be as customer service, but you really wanted them to be very happy with it. You want it to fit well, so it sounds like an extra burden, if I had to guess, to have that many different sizes and the way things fit on there. But it's a definite gain for the customer's experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep 49 sizes on the shelf. I mean, we really can't always keep 49 different sizes on the shelf. And a lot of times, too, that's why we do like our limited edition gis. Because when you do a limited edition gi, obviously, we hold a pre-sale, and then they can order exactly the sizes that they want. So, there are some sizes like that we don't keep as many on the shelf. We may only keep one size, and then when that one sells out, we'll order another one, or we'll make another one, I should say. So we try to keep as many of the sizes in stock. Of course, we keep more of the regular sizes in stock on the shelf. But it's hard. I mean, think 49 sizes plus 4 different colors. So it's kind of hard to keep that many. Sometimes 5 different colors. It's hard to keep that many on the shelf.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of stock in the warehouse there.
Yeah,
if you had that.
I mean, I think, myself as a jiu-jitsu guy, I train 5 to 6 days a week. And I never wear the same gi twice in a week, of course. And I always wash my gis and hang dry my gis. So that's kind of, this is, you got to have a bunch of gis if you want to train all the time.
Yeah, it definitely helps out. This is a good topic here. We've got somebody who's an expert with gis and caring for them. So tell me kind of your procedure of washing and drying and how you get how you store them. I don't know. Tell me maybe some care tips for a gi that you would recommend.
You know what? Here's what I always tell people. So for instance, we pre-shrink our gis twice, which I don't think too many people do. So we pre-shrink our gis. We pre-shrink the material, and then we cut the material and we shrink it again. So like I said, I don't think that too many people do that, but we do. It's kind of an added step. But I always get people telling me I always buy a gi that's too big for me, and then I try to shrink it. And I bought your gi and it was too big for me, and I tried to shrink it and it won't shrink. So I'm like, well, yeah.
Well, okay, so even on this. I've never been able to ask somebody this. What is pre-shrink? Are you washing it in warm water, or are you drying it with a high heat, or how does that work?
There's a procedure that we use to shrink the material down. So it's 100% cotton. So cotton at one point in time comes from plant. So if you've ever seen cotton flying around the streets, it comes from a organic material. So no matter the quality of cotton is after it's woven, you shrink it using the process that we use, and then we just go ahead and shrink it again, just to really tighten up the fibers. So what happens is the fibers are woven together, and we try to make it as tight as possible. But then, like I said, it's a living or formerly living. Organic material. So if you put it into the washing machine, just like your jeans, right? If you throw your jeans into the washing machine on hot and you throw them into the dryer on hot, you put them in, they feel a little bit tighter. It's the same thing with the gi. So even though we've pre-shrunk everything, you still have to be careful with it. So I don't know if I really answered your question.
Well, maybe sometimes my jeans seem a little tighter based on what I'm eating that week, and it has nothing to do with whether I'm, how I'm drying them or not. But
stay away from the tacos. Tacos will get you every time.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, I love tacos. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm just always just curious about caring for the gi. So your gi. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I do, and I tell everybody this. I always wash my gis in cold water, and I always hang dry them. So people always ask me, like, how do your gis, especially, the darker colors, how do your gis always stay so bright? Well, if you have a darker color gi, what will make the color drab is by putting them in the dryer. So the dryer it's not the warm water that's making, or hot water as it may be, that's making your gis lose color. It's actually the dryer. So the dryer just kind of makes your gis look dingy. So, and of course, sometimes if you live in a place where there's hard water, that can also affect it too. It can really affect white gis. I never wash white gis in bleach because they'll turn yellow. Cold water, hang dry, and your gis will last forever.
So the gis losing some color in the dryer?
Yeah.
So why cold water? Why is that better than warm water?
Because warm water will make the gi shrink. So even though we pre-shrink everything, warm water will cause the fibers to get even tighter and tighter and tighter, and then the gi will feel tighter itself. So, and then for some people, it doesn't make any difference. Some people, the gis just won't. Maybe they have some room, or the gi is completely shrunk, and it's just the right size for them. But you just have to be careful because even, like I said, any company, that's part of the reason why things have to be dry cleaned too. So, the fabric responds differently to different temperatures and chemicals. So, I always tell people just cold water, hang dry, and you'll maintain the same fit that you had once it comes out of the bag.
Yeah, and just the thing that I do, sometimes the humidity's kind of high here, but I just do it every time. I'll take a fan and I'll point it at my gi while it's hang drying. It seems to dry a lot quicker.
Yeah. Our gis are pretty light. It's really my take on the gold weave fabric. So, so you definitely can. A fan, I don't see anything wrong with that. But that high heat in the dryer will really take the color right out of a darker gi. All right.
Good advice to hear. That's good to know. I've got another question from another listener. Jake wants to hear about the cultural differences or similarities with the Navy and BJJ. We all know the BJJ community and kind of what to expect in there, but maybe can you make some comparisons with the two? Like in the community?
Let's see. So I've done a lot of things in the Navy. I'm a prior enlisted guy. I'm an officer now, so people can laugh at me about that. But so I've been in the Navy for 20 years now. Jiu-Jitsu. So I've done a lot of things with groundwork. I don't do a lot of ship stuff. So I've done things with Marines and explosive ordnance disposal and SEALs and things like that. I'm not a SEAL. I like to make sure that people know that too. I don't want Don Shipley chasing me down, telling me that I was a poser. But so I started out as I was a corpsman. I was an independent duty corpsman. I was a chief petty officer, and now I'm a lieutenant. But jiu-jitsu I think is important for just really anybody in the Navy. It's a great way to relieve stress. And people don't always realize how much stress we're under in the military, whether it's the Navy, Army, Air Force, and we'll even include the Coast Guard in there. That was a little joke against the Coast Guard. Love you guys. But we're under a lot of stress. So jiu-jitsu is a great way to relieve stress. It's a great way to keep yourself physically fit. And so when you're overseas, not too long ago, I had a chance to visit Japan, and I taught a seminar over there and taught a few classes over there. I mean, these guys love jiu-jitsu. It's really the same as anybody else. It's just that when we go places, we leave our families, we leave the country, we go to war. And I even did jiu-jitsu when I was in Afghanistan. You know, it's a great distraction from the things that we have to do over there. You know, I usually don't talk about my Navy life and the gi company because I try to keep the two things separately. But I am just a jiu-jitsu guy, just like everybody else. I just happen to make kimonos. Yeah, I mean, I think they tie in well together. Especially those of us who have to do combatives and MCMAC training. There's a little bit more involved in it. We do a lot of, not every school a lot of schools are very into, the sport aspect of jiu-jitsu, which is great. I love sport jiu-jitsu. I competed plenty of times. I plan to compete again. But we also teach the real self-defense stuff. You know, we teach, this week we've been focusing on weapons, dealing with people coming at you with guns and knives, and then just real self-defense type stuff. I'm so spoiled. Friday night, I got a phone call. Oh, Friday night? Yeah, Friday or Saturday, I get a phone call, and the other voice on the other said, "Ricardo, this is Royce Gracie. I will be in Maryland. Come train with me." And so, what do you do when Royce Gracie calls you? You get in your car,
Yeah.
and you drive 4 hours to go train with Royce Gracie. And we worked on, his seminar was awesome. It was just strictly real Gracie self-defense. It was awesome. I highly recommend, if Royce is in your area, you go to it, and it'll really open your eyes to some pretty cool stuff. So, and we're very spoiled that we get to make some gis for Royce, thanks to one of our athletes, Eli Knight, who hooked us up with Royce. And Royce is funny. He's a nice guy. I highly recommend going to one of his seminars.
Yeah, who would miss out on that opportunity?
Yeah, when Royce calls, you go. That's how it works.
That's good advice.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I just can't get Royce to call me.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
There you go. And we're lucky too, man. We've got so many cool people that we work with. I'm not going to sit here and I guess I did just name drop, didn't I?
But it was Royce.
We've just got so many really cool people that we work with. I just think that we're really, really, really blessed to have some pretty cool people to work with.
Making something or producing something or whatever, but a lot of times it boils down to who you're working with, and it helps you appreciate that. To me, it makes work a lot more enjoyable if you're with good quality people. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to make any secrets about this. Like I said, I think I said this. I don't think we're going to be billionaires through this gi company. This is like, you have to love doing this. You really, really have to love doing this. Because if you're in it just for the money, you're going to get disappointed. You're really going to get disappointed. Because it's a tough business. It's manufacturing, so not everything is always made perfectly. We do so much quality control, but every now and again one sneaks by, and I tell people, if it's my fault and something's wrong with your gi, I'll replace it. I'll replace the jacket. I'll replace pants. Maybe I have to replace the whole thing. I don't know. But I try to do my best to take care of people. This is kind of a funny one. I had somebody contact me, and they bought a gi like 5 years prior, and they heard that I'm very, if it's a manufacturer mistake, I'll replace. Something happens within the first month or two of you wearing your gi. But 5 years later, I said, one of my employees is just like, yeah, try calling Nike after having your running shoes for 5 years. And
no kidding.
Replacing it. So, I say it kind of jokingly. It was kind of funny at the time, but the point is that if we screw up something, we want to make sure that we take care of people and they get what they ordered.
Yeah, within a reasonable time frame that don't abuse a gi for 5 years and come at you. That's funny.
So, but we try to take care of people, and we really don't have too many problems. We don't really have too many things that we have to replace. We're humans. Every now and again, something happens, but we try to take care of it.
That's good. Yeah, we're talking about taking care of people. You're involved in some social projects. Could you tell us about those a little bit?
Yeah, actually, I'm really proud of them. We've had the fortune of working with some high school programs out in California. We work a lot with Vector Jiu-Jitsu down in Mississippi. Those guys are awesome. I'm really proud of working with those guys. Just get it on Vector Jiu-Jitsu. They work in a school system. It's kind of a husband and wife team who run the program over there. Chris and Beth, they're good people. And the graduation rate from their high schools is pretty low. I think it's less than 50%, if I recall. I hope I'm not wrong, and then the people from the high school call me and yell at me. But the graduation rate is relatively low. I mean, we'd like to see 100% graduation rate. But from their program this year, 100% of the kids who have been in their program graduated. And that is awesome. I mean, that's a testament to what those guys do, to the standards that they hold their students to. Their kids don't pay to do jiu-jitsu with them. I just think they're doing such a great job, and they deserve all the accolades in the world, and very proud to work with them. And then we have, in Boston, we've worked with Level Ground Jiu-Jitsu. We've donated a lot of stuff to them. And then also we have a social project in Brazil, basically translates into action and reaction. Really, really proud to work with them. A lot of great kids in that program. And we, of course, all the programs will continue to work with for as long as we're a company.
So you said a lot there, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So Vector Jiu-Jitsu, it takes place in a school, or it's like kind of next to a school, and kids go.
No, it's in the school. It's in the school.
Cool. I hadn't heard much about Jiu-Jitsu in schools.
Actually, even one of our athletes runs Jiu-Jitsu in his school. We've helped them out with a lot of stuff out in Sacramento. His name is Chris Latino. And yeah, there's even a couple schools that we've made gis for that are not kind of projects. There are a couple private schools that actually have jiu-jitsu within the school in Texas.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's helping, I would guess, if anything, it just helps you maybe want to show up to school a little bit more than the typical day if you get to do some training. And maybe that's a slight influence of why they're sticking with it. Maybe it's just helping them be motivated, or seeing what they're, respecting their teachers and seeing what they're doing. And I don't know, but it sounds like it's got great results.
Yeah, and we love working with them. We have some new surprises for some of the programs coming up. They'll be receiving some cool stuff from us pretty soon. So yeah, we're pretty excited. We really enjoy working with them.
Wow, that is cool. So do you have any big future plans for the Firma?
Future plan? Well, we just came out with our 2016 gis. We call them the established gis. They're really, really nice. New logos, new colors. We just came out with a gray gi, which we think is beautiful. It's probably a gi that most people are the most excited about. It's hard for me because I'm a traditional martial artist, but then now I'm infatuated with this gray gi. so now I've put away all my white gis, and now I wear my gray gi a lot. So we have some new women's gear that we just came out with, some brand new spats, and a lot of the ladies and guys like spats. We have some really nice men's spats. And then just new products coming out. We've kind of started to expand past just jiu-jitsu. We have a really tough athlete that we support. I think you know her. Her name is Kim Fox.
Oh yeah.
She's a champion kettlebell athlete. She's pretty tough, and she loves our products, and we're lucky that she does, because she's very vocal on on social media and within her community. So our gear is obviously not just for jiu-jitsu, although that's what we started for. We're kind of moving out into some other athletic endeavors. And just the other day I was walking down the street and I saw some lady wearing my spats just hanging out. so I guess maybe we're the word is kind of getting out about us. And like I said, we it's funny, we talk about the gear, like our men's spats are different than our women's spats, right? So obviously, again, we talked about this before, that men's bodies and women's bodies are not the same. So like our men's spats, our men's spats even have a built-in athletic supporter in them. So obviously women don't need that. So we don't put that into our women's spats. I think it would look pretty silly. So and then just the way that the hips are cut, completely different, and the legs are a little bit smaller so that they fit properly. So things like that. Our rash guards are cut differently for women than they are for men, for the same reason. So yeah, just the big things is where we're probably going to have a new limited edition gi coming out. We've done a Brazil gi, we've done a Texas gi, we've done a Puerto Rico gi. So this time we're going to do one just for the good old USA. And we're still working on the design for that one. But again, our artist Guto, I give him ideas, we work on stuff together, and we come up with something beautiful. I think this one is going to be should be a really nice one. We just haven't completely figured out everything for it yet.
Oh, cool. And is there Facebook somewhere or somewhere like that they can go to kind of just keep up with what's happening with the company or with you?
Yeah. Just Facebook. It's the Firma BJJ on Facebook. If they want to check out our school, they can check us out at the Firma Training Center. And the other thing, too, if anybody ever comes to Virginia and they want to come visit us and train, wear your gi, and we'd love to have you. We have jiu-jitsu we have 5 days a week, well, actually 6 days a week, and twice a day for adults. And we have kids classes, adult classes. We teach judo. We have strength and conditioning. We have yoga. So it's a pretty cool school.
Well, that sounds good. I know you're running a school. You're coaching there. I want to get some coaching advice for you or from you before we let you go, if that's okay with you.
Man, we can do this all day.
All right. Well, let's just say, Ricardo, that you have a student going to a tournament for the first time. What advice do you have for them to get ready for that?
I've always treated tournaments just like training at the end of class. To me, it's really the same thing. Maybe there's a little bit more hype because you've gotten yourself nervous, but once you get on the mat, it's really the same thing. You go through the same moves, the same jiu-jitsu that you do when you're training at open mat, or you're training whatever you worked on that week in class. I think one of the most important things is listen to your coach. It's kind of hard because you're going to hear a lot of people, so kind of get used to your coach's voice. All my students know my voice. All of my students are learning Spanglish because I coach in Spanglish. And so that kind of sets it apart.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we coach in Spanglish. And they get a lot of so our head professor at our university at our gym is also he's from Puerto Rico, and he's mastered Spanish, English, and Portuguese, and he mixes all three of those together. So we haven't come up with a terminology for that yet, but we do a lot of mixed languages in our training. So we have a blast doing it too. So really just listen to your coach, have fun while you're out there. Don't get so hyped. One piece of advice, especially to parents, don't put so much pressure on your kids. I don't know how many times I've seen kids walking off the mats crying because they didn't win. I've seen parents yelling at their kids because they didn't win. Or the one that I hate the most, I really have to say this, the parents who sit in the audience and scream out, break his arm. That's really not the spirit of jiu-jitsu. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but almost every tournament I've been to, there's always that one person. That's not the spirit of jiu-jitsu. Nobody should be going out there trying to break somebody's arm. Most of us are 9-to-5 guys. We have other jobs that we have to do. Jiu-jitsu is a great martial art in a sport. Also, so that's kind of my advice, not only to the athlete but also to the parents or the loved ones that go out there. And most of us professors would really like to, as a dad, I hear somebody in the stands screaming, break his arm, and that's my child. I'd love to bring them on the mats. Talk to them.
Yeah.
We'll say talk to them.
Yeah. Talk to them on the mat.
Let's talk more jiu-jitsu.
And
talk ease. More jiu-jitsu.
That is ridiculous to hear that at a tournament, especially kids or adult, doesn't really matter. That's not what it's about. But to me, it also, if you're that parent yelling that, it tells everybody who could hear you that you don't train and you don't have a clue what's happening on the mat. Because if you did, you wouldn't scream that. That's not appropriate at all. You said you like to treat a tournament like you're just like you're rolling at the end of class and just have a good session. Sometimes I roll at the end of class and I end up I get tapped by this guy who never hardly taps me. I got this other guy on my back for 5 minutes straight. I can't get him off. And sometimes I roll on the end of class and I'm having a great day and everything's going smooth. And do you have any idea of why that might be? Some days I'm rolling really great, and some days it just seems like I can't get anything together.
Well, it's probably because what's your belt right now?
I'm black.
Okay, so as a black belt yourself, you probably know this. So I'm a black belt also. I think I mentioned that. So, but we're always learning new things, right? So so when you have kind of like a tough roll, it could be that you're practicing new stuff that you just learned. Like Hobsonmore is very, jiu-jitsu never ends. And we're always learning new things, right? So if somebody gets on your back and you can't get them off, it could be because you're trying, this new position, or you're trying a new escape that you learned. And I find myself putting myself in bad positions a lot because it helps my jiu-jitsu. So right now I'm recovering from some knee surgeries, like all jiu-jitsu guys, but I wish I had a good story about how I blew out my knee doing jiu-jitsu, but that's not how it happened. But so you find yourself learning new things, practicing new things, and then you know what? When you're a jiu-jitsu instructor, you're training those new snakes to bite you. If you're good at it, you want your students to get better than you, or you want your teammates to get better than you. So so I think that's kind of why some of those things happen. And then there's always going to be good days and bad days.
Yeah.
So
I think basically what you're getting at there, if you're going to a tournament, maybe you shouldn't be playing around with new moves you're just trying to pick up and stick with what you're good at already. Say, like I experienced that in class, I'm trying to work on this new technique. Yeah, it's not going to be the best role for me. Whether if I was doing the same thing I did, for the past 4 or 5 months, that would be a lot easier role. But maybe stick with what you know during the match.
You know what? My students will all tell you, stick with the basics. If you watch jiu-jitsu tournaments now, guys are getting finished with the same exact submissions, right? It's the same armbar, choke, leg locks. They're really, of course, leg locks are for advanced students, but I mean, everybody's finishing everybody with the same submissions, and same guard techniques. Maybe some people are a little bit better at passing the guard, but the basics you watch guys like you watch guys like Haja Gracie and Sanjay Ribeiro, basic jiu-jitsu. I mean, really high level basic jiu-jitsu, but it's basic jiu-jitsu nonetheless. I mean, they're not doing anything crazy, fancy, out of control. Cobrinha is like, just watch him compete. I mean, it's basic jiu-jitsu, and he's beating people with it because he's really, really good at his basics. You know, so you just look at these guys, especially the ladies that are out there too. I mean, the jiu-jitsu it's absolutely high level, beautiful jiu-jitsu, but it's all basics.
Yeah.
Stick with that.
Good advice. Speaking of basics, I'd like to kind of hear back when you were a blue belt. Maybe people listening to two black belts talk about jiu-jitsu may not be the most comprehensible for people. So if you tell us maybe something like what kind of a blue belt you were, or maybe if you could remember something from struggle back in the day, that would be a relatable story for people to hear. So what were you like as a blue belt?
Well, I trained every day, sometimes twice a day. But as a blue belt, I remember several times thinking to myself, why do I do this? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I putting my body through all of this? What am I doing? I had a thirst for knowledge. I had a thirst for jiu-jitsu. I was lucky enough to train under some really great professor, I really learned a lot about jiu-jitsu. So as a blue belt, I got tapped a lot. I probably didn't tap a lot of people. I competed a lot. I think competition is fun, kind of keeps your fire going. But as a blue belt, I mean, I think I was okay at jiu-jitsu. I think it's pretty good, I guess, maybe. But just as a blue belt, I just trained all the time. There's always going to be ups and downs with jiu-jitsu. I remember one time for a little while, I was like, I'm going to quit. And then as soon as I said quit, I was grabbing my bag and going to the gym. So I mean, just as a blue belt, I just tried to train as much as I possibly could. And I was really lucky to have some really high level partners to train with who are still my friends to this day. And even though I've moved away from where I was training as a blue belt, I stuck with it. And that goes back to that question you asked me as a Navy person. The average Navy person moves every 3 years. So it's hard to stick with just one team because, you may live in Texas, then move to Virginia, and the team that you train with doesn't have an academy there or, wherever. But just stick with it, just find a place that you enjoy training at, and train. Yeah.
If you move and your people that you used to train with don't have anybody there that they know, you go meet some new people. Yeah. You got to keep training.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and so, like, for me, like, I tell people, even when they come in to try jiu-jitsu at my academy, I always tell people, try as many schools as you want. People ask me why I should choose my school over some other school. Everybody's looking for something different in jiu-jitsu. They may just be looking for self-defense. They may want to compete. They may want to do this. They may want to do that. They may want to do MMA or whatever it is. They really just kind of, I tell people, try the different places. Hopefully you choose us. I'm the worst salesman when it comes to selling my school. I just think that our instruction at the school sells itself.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody's looking for something different. And I think that kind of works.
Yeah. Hey, back to your blue belt days. Did you have a favorite technique or position that you really liked back then?
You know what? I started in an academy where closed guard was king. I started with the Salado Ribeiro Association, and closed guard was king. If you didn't have a good closed guard, you didn't jiu-jitsu. So closed guard was anything from closed guard was my thing. But I think I'm not really sure where it started, but we had to do stand up, and so I really fell in love with judo throws. So that carried me through a lot of tournaments as a younger competitor, because a lot of people don't focus a lot on stand up, and I did, and we did. So that helped me out a lot. So I really enjoyed the stand up aspect of jiu-jitsu. Close guard was key. The Elio Gracie joke was, if it was good enough for Elio Gracie, it's probably good enough for me. So, so those two things, the stand-up aspect, Haraya Goshi, Uchimata, Seonagis, those were all like things that I really enjoyed doing, or trying to do.
Is there any resemblance to your game today from that?
Yeah. I mean, listen, my jiu-jitsu was just stick with the basics. I come from a athletic background where I was a football player. So it was just kind of stick with the basics. So I was a running back, and my goal was always 3 yards and then see if I could get some more. So same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's kind of, I think that my jiu-jitsu game obviously has evolved. But I would still say that I like close guard still. I'm just learning to do new things from close guard every day. But my current professor is really good at open guard and moving more in hips, and so that helps out a lot. And the new thing that I've really been working on that I hadn't really worked on a lot is no-gi. We do a lot of no-gi. Every Wednesday we do no-gi at our school, and then on Saturdays, of course, too. During our open mat, we do no-gi or gi, whatever people want to do. So no-gi, it's a whole new game, and we've kind of been focusing on it. So it's fun. I really enjoy it. So that's definitely a new thing for me, or newer thing. It's only been a few years where I've really been focusing on it.
That's interesting that you bring that up. Here where I'm at, we're kind of transitioning for the summertime to a lot more no-gi just because of the heat, and it's just so much easier to train without the gi when it's 105 outside. So we get a lot of people who have been training with the gi for basically a year, and now we're asking them, hey, leave that at home and bring a pair of shorts and a shirt or a rash guard. And
Hopefully made by the Firma.
Yeah, there you go. And they're and they're struggling a little bit with picking up the differences between the two. And so, someone who has done this, what advice do you have for somebody who's leaving the gi at home and training no-gi, trying to make that transition?
Learn how to control people's wrists. That's grips. You don't have the same grips anymore. So you have to figure out how to have grips. It's a completely different game with passing the guard. It's just a really a different game. And I'm always amazed by the guys that you can see who are world champions in the gi and world champions outside of the gi with no gi. So I think that's really pretty cool to see. It's just a different game. It really is. It's a lot of the submissions are different. An armbar is an armbar, but sometimes it's hard to get that armbar because there's no friction. That gi offers a little bit of friction. So go out there with an open mind and have fun. I mean, I really enjoy the no-gi game. It's a faster game. It's a whole nother technical game. Just go out and have fun with it. Risk control.
There are differences, like you mentioned. I try to tell them, like, enjoy the fact that you're not going to get stuck as much. So if you're in a bad spot, it should be a little easier to get out of that bad spot, because they're going to find themselves in bad spots because they're not used to no-gi. So that's an advantage, I think, that people don't realize, that it's easier to bust out of things sometimes without the gi on. And then I think there's a bigger difference if I've been a guard player for 3 years straight and I want to learn how to play top game. That's a lot harder than going from gi to no-gi, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I think that it's helped me out a lot with my gi game, because I was so used to the way that I played my game in the gi. Now I've learned to play a new game with no gi, and it's translating into my gi game. So I use, I don't even look for gi grips all the time like I used to. And so I think they both play off of each other, and they both can help. I don't know. I think it's just the more you can learn, it's fun. So, I mean, as both of us are black belts, and so for me, I'm learning a whole new type of fun game to play.
Yep, absolutely, and just keep it, like you said, keep it fun, because it should be fun. If you look at no gi as, well, I got to do this until I get back to the normal gi schedule or whatever. That's not the right. Look at it like something new, something fun, and you'll come back to the gi with some new ideas and some better movements, perhaps.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we all have things that we do, jobs, or whatever. Tournament, you can't be getting your arm broken. We all have actual lives outside of jiu-jitsu. And that does creep into our training as well. If somebody could come in and train maybe just once or twice a week, do you have any advice for them to get the most out of those days?
Come in. I mean, that's just try to get in as much as you can. And that's why we have classes every day. I think it's hard. If you really want to learn jiu-jitsu, or if you really want to go to a jiu-jitsu school, and that's what you really want to focus on. I'm not talking about guys who want to do MMA or they want to learn Muay Thai and maybe a little bit of jiu-jitsu. If you really want to learn jiu-jitsu, try to get to a school that offers classes every day, so that if you can't make it on Tuesday, you can still go on Wednesday, or any other day for that matter. Just try to get in as much as possible. Stay off of YouTube, especially if you're a new guy. Really just focus on what your professor's been teaching, or your coach, as it may be. Really just focus on what they've been doing. I take notes. I usually leave every class and write down notes. I've been doing that ever since I started jiu-jitsu. And I have notebook after notebook after notebook full of stuff. And really just focus on the little aspects of what your professor's teaching. Like, I think you asked me earlier about submissions that I like. My students will tell you that I like the Kimura a lot. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. Like, everybody's got their submission, I guess, that they find themselves finding. And then I just learned a completely different way to set up the Kimura that I'd never thought of doing before. And I used it, and my professor was like, "What the heck was that?" So he's like, "I don't even feel it in the same spot." And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty nice, right?" So just really pay attention to the small details, and that will help you out a lot.
That's great advice. Tell us one more time where we could go to just keep up with you, with the company, and maybe just throw a few links at us, and I'll put them in the show notes.
Just our regular website, thefirmabjj.com. You can check out our academy if you want to see that, which is thefirmatc.com. You can follow us on Facebook. We have Instagram and Twitter, and we're at thefirmabjj on those pieces of social media. Facebook. I go to a lot of tournaments, and it's funny. Like, I'll go to a tournament, and if I see somebody in a gi, I'll just walk up to them, like, "How do you like that gi?" I just want to sometimes like to hear what people say, and then I get answers. Most of the time, they're positive, and then I'll introduce myself to them. And I really like to meet people who, they're spending their hard-earned money on our gis, and sometimes I guess people, like to meet me. I don't know why, but I enjoy meeting people who spend their money on our gis, and I think that's a lot of fun for me.
That's cool, and it's some good market research right there.
Yeah. Speaking of market research, before we go, I think I talked to you about a local mixed martial arts organization that we support. Great organization. I've taken people there, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? This is amateur. It's Spartyka Fight League. Spartyka Fight League is also owned by a Navy guy. Very, very professional. Does a lot of great things for the military community here through the Spartyka Foundation, raising money for wounded warriors, guys suffering from PTSD. It's just they never stop. Very, very proud to work with these guys. Very, very proud to support them. And they put on an excellent, excellent, excellent show.
And where are they located?
They're right here in Virginia. Their tournaments are held in Norfolk, Virginia, at Old Dominion University, my alma mater, by the way. And they hold them at the Ted Constant Center, usually packed full of people. We try to bring in as many cool people for the tournaments as we can, just to really keep everything as hyped as we can. Just great stuff, and yeah, man, it's great organization.
And they focus on giving the best experience for the. You say it feels like a professional organization, but it's for amateur fighters.
Yeah. I mean, pretty soon I think they're going to have some professional kickboxing coming in, but they've got some really, really good. Just the way they organize. I've never heard anybody complain about them, and it's funny. Like I see some amateur fights taking place where mama's climbing over the fence. Save her baby. That would never happen at a Spartyka Fight League. I mean, these are. I mean, this is as close to professional as you're going to get. The way that they run their program. So, very proud of Jimmy Partica. He's doing a great job out there. I just wanted to give him a little shout out and let him know that he's a lot like me. I mean, but he's a one man show behind the scenes. He does it all, and the guy works hard. And I wish nothing but the best for those guys.
Wow, that's cool. I think probably one of the toughest things to do with the amateur MMA is to get good matchups. It's so hard to look at people on paper and see this would be a good match. They both are 1-0 or whatever, or 1-1. They could be two totally different skill levels, and that's a tough thing.
Yeah. And listen, and they've got guys, who are the champions right now who are ready to move on to professional. I mean, they've got some guys who are good. I mean, these guys are very, very well-rounded, very well-skilled guys, and then of course you get guys who are in the military, so it's kind of hard for those guys to go pro, but we got some really, really tough guys out there, which also is a testament to the way that Jiu-Jitsu and MMA is growing in this area here on the East Coast. I think that we're definitely a little bit behind places like California and Texas and Florida, but it's definitely coming up. And hopefully it'll continue to grow, which is good for everybody here.
Well, cool. I'm glad you mentioned them. We talked about that before we got on the air, and I wrote it down. I see it here, and I forgot to bring it up. So I'm glad you did that.
It's all right. I'm just, it's just like taking care of other small businesses and taking care of the community. We're trying to get we're trying to get a substantial tournament in the area, maybe an IBJJF or a BJJ tour, which I think is great for us. We have Naga that comes through once or twice a year, and then we have some local tournaments that come through. Good Fight, a lot of good ones. But we'd really like to try to get an IBJJF tournament here in the area. It's a perfect place for a tournament. Great, easy place to travel to. 2 airports, a bunch of hotels, and we're kind of right in the middle of, not too far from Maryland, Delaware, North, South Carolina, West Virginia. Real easy place for people to come down and train and compete at a nice tournament. So hopefully, if there's a tournament organizer out there who wants to bring a big tournament this way, we're looking at bringing those things.
Well, cool. Ricardo, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Do you have any final words for the audience?
I wish we could have talked more about jiu-jitsu and less about me, because jiu-jitsu is where it's at. But I just really appreciate everybody listening. I really appreciate you for having me on the show. Hopefully we'll do it again sometime and spend some more time talking about jiu-jitsu. You know, it's funny. I say this all the time. I'm more of a jiu-jitsu guy than a guy who makes, at least I think I am, than a guy who just makes gis. I love everything jiu-jitsu. I enjoy watching mixed martial arts. We're lucky enough to sponsor guys who fight in the UFC and Invicta fighters, and so we're real lucky. So hopefully we do this again. We talk more about jiu-jitsu and things currently going on. And again, I really appreciate you guys having me. Thanks to Jake for telling you guys about me, and Jake and Kim, because they're pretty cool people. And hopefully we'll do this again.
All right. Well, sounds good. And thank you for hopping on here with me, Ricardo.
Hey, thank you very much.
I want to thank Ricardo Tubbs for the interview. Learned a lot there, and always good to get just different information from people. Interesting story about starting the company, and of course, learning about how to take care of your gi, something that we all need to know about, and good information. So appreciate that. Check out. I'll put links to Firma, of course, on the show notes there, and great to hear he's supporting some charitable organizations as well. A lot of good things going on with Firma. So check him out. The gym I train at, Fox Fitness, they use their gis, and they've got like custom embroidery inside. It says Fox BJJ inside. So it's really cool. If you have a school and you want to get your own gis, it's a good way to go. At least give them a call and look into it there.
Yep, definitely top quality gis, rash guards, do a little bit of everything. Hoodies, I know the new Fox Fitness hoodies are just incredible that I've seen. So check them out. They will make the gear towards your school. They will brand it with your school. So check out the Firma.
Gary, at the bottom of the show notes or our bottom of our website there on this podcast post, there'll be a video. It's just me, which is kind of unfortunate. You know, like it'd be a lot better if we had Gary's good-looking face in there. But you got to look at me, and I'm explaining the idea of Patreon to the person viewing the video, which hopefully will be you. So my goal is to just get a few more views on the video. Maybe we'll get some people sign up, maybe we won't. But if we can get some more views on the video, I'd really appreciate that a lot. Show people that are at least interested in checking out what Patreon's about. It's a way that our listeners can support us on a per episode basis. You might pledge $1 or any number of amount is available, but there's different rewards for different levels. There's still some available at the $3 level. That's a pretty decent level because you get our big 5-inch BJJ Brick gi patch sent to you as a token of appreciation for pledging $3 per episode. It means a lot to us, and it's making a huge difference in us doing this and being more stable and being able to produce a high-quality show as we're hoping to do every week, get a little bit better. So check out the video at the bottom of the show notes or at the bottom of the website there with this podcast. So just click on the Patreon video, my friends.
Yep, and check out our other avenues of social media. We're on YouTube. As we've talked about before, we have a question and answer on YouTube. So if you do have any questions, send them to us at bjjbrick@gmail.com or message us on our Facebook page. We're on Facebook, which, as we just said, Facebook is probably what we check most often. We're on Twitter. We're on Reddit. So definitely check us out on different avenues of social media. And, let all your teammates, all your friends know about us. Tell them about the show. Tell them about the different avenues of social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
There we go. We got a lot for you to do. Gary, everybody has learned about my audiobook about your first year in BJJ, and even a few people have actually purchased this thing and have gotten some great use out of it. But this time, right now, the music is telling us we should learn about your audiobook that you are working on, but you don't even know the title of the book, and we're going to listen to you kind of work with this book live action style, Gary.
Yep, just throw me out in the middle of the ocean and sink or swim. I'll figure it out.
Yes, we always end up doing this at the end of the show. It's a great way to just kind of have fun, and Gary works pretty hard, and he's very quick-witted, so it's always a good time. Gary, your audiobook this time is called Rolling in the Living Room, The Futon Submission. I have no idea what this is about. If you have any... what's going on with that, Gary?
Well, earlier you talked about the futon, finding comfort and discomfort. And we were talking about that fold-out couch futon that was very uncomfortable, but I could sleep well in it. But, I got rid of it before I started jiu-jitsu, and I started thinking about it. The nice thing about that futon is it's got your own mat, a practice mat. So, I was thinking I could just pull the mattress out. It's probably an inch or two thick, or probably an inch and a half thick. And, that would be perfect for drilling, working there in the house. So I just looked at it that what a great way, especially if I had a small apartment. The big thing right now is, tiny living, tiny houses. So, I could get the futon. Think what I could use that for. First of all, I could use it as a chair, a couch. I could eat dinner there. Then when it comes time to sleep, I fold it out. And then once it comes time to train, I just throw the mat out there. But like we were talking about the futon submission, you think about we're in a tiny place, so the frame's still going to be there. I'm going to have the mat out. But I can use like the legs and stuff like that. I mean, if we get near it, I could use the legs and put your neck around it and kind of get you in a full Nelson and choke you with it. Well, I'm sorry, strangulate you with it. So, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn, first of all, about how a futon is like a Swiss Army knife for tiny house living. I could probably just, in the whole thing, just have a futon and a Swiss Army knife that I could use to eat and everything else, and I wouldn't need any other furniture, and I could get my training done. But and then we'll go through how to sleep on it, how to make it the most comfortable, and finally we're gonna show you how to drill on the mat, and then how to finish a couple like the leg full Nelson submission. So you'll learn some submissions that'll really come in handy in tight quarters.
Gary, now I know why in your tiny house that you're building, the windows are foggy, because are you in there grappling on a regular basis with this futon? What's going on in that thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the time I am grappling with the futon. Most of the time people won't come in there. They're a little afraid to come in there with me. So, I'm doing a lot of sit-ups and push-ups, but, as I told you guys before, I can only go 5 minutes at a time before I have to take a break. So, but I mean, and I sweat a lot. So, those windows, and I don't have air conditioning yet.
Oh, okay. I'm just relieved to know that's the reason why they're fogged over all the time.
Yeah, yep.
Absolutely. Well, it's unconventional submission. It's probably illegal in most circuits. It's illegal in 48 states, but one state you can actually do it in. I know what state that is, Gary.
What state would that be?
Kansas, because that's where we are. We're in Wichita, Kansas. And if you want to train with us, send us an email at bjjbrick@gmail.com. And if you're traveling through Wichita, Kansas, let us know. We'll be happy to get some mat time. Gary will bring the futon pad if upon request.
We promise we'll actually use real mats.
Here's a fun fact about Gary. He is the king of acquiring mats from places. You should write a book about this for real, Gary. He just acquires mats from, I don't know, Gary, various garage sales, wrestling clubs that are closing down or getting new mats and whatever.
And most of the time it's for free. It's just kind of crazy.
Okay.
I don't know. I got some kind of knack for it. I don't know what it is.
This is now real. People always seem to want mats. Okay, get some mats. Give us a tip. Give us a real, none of this fake Gary audiobook tip here.
It's just know as many people in the grappling community as possible and be nice. I mean, really, it's I don't know. I just had a bunch of people just they just give them to me. I don't really know what it is. I just I got to know a lot of people. I don't know, and let it be known that if anybody has mats, I guess that's a big one right there. Like I was always looking for mats, but now I kind of stopped doing it. I've given all my mats away just about, except for what I need, And, I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you're in Wichita, Kansas, and you need mat space for maybe a seminar, hey, it's going to be more people than we usually handle, you call Gary, and he will hook you up with how much you need, how many square meters of mats do you need me to bring over, and he'll hook that up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I could figure out become a mat supplier or something.
Mat dealer.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, it's been fun. I'm glad that had never came up. The fact that you've acquired mats pretty easily. I don't know, easily. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. But you've acquired a lot of mats over the years, Gary, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've kind of given up though, so maybe I need to get back into it.
There you go. And I think just one more tip for your audio book there. Maybe the futon submission book should be a pop-up because you've done a few pop-ups in the past, and it would be kind of cool to watch that pop out of there.
Yeah, they're a little more expensive though, and right now I think we'd probably need a couple more people to log on to Patreon to do the pop-up.
There we go. We would appreciate that. Gary, it's been a great week. We're looking forward to next week. What's happening next week?
Next week, we have a great show with Christina Barlin. She just finished second in the worlds at Black Belt. And the crazy thing is, that was her first year competing at Black Belt. So she's going to drop a lot of knowledge to us and help us all out. So definitely make sure you tune in next week.
Absolutely. And as always, stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Another way we help... God dang it. Man, I'm starting to suck.
Getting worse and worse. Today.
Okay.